So I think for this particular handling, if you can use it, if you can get it down, you have a Q&A that looks absolutely impossible. Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Nique Chats, my magic and mostly mentalism review show. My name is Nick Tan, and on today's episode, I'll be chatting with you guys about a staged mentalism piece from Bill O'Connell. This is something that he calls business card Q&A. So hi again guys, and welcome back to the channel. As always, thanks for tuning in, thanks for showing up and spending some time with me today. Before anything else, I just want to give a quick shout out to all my subscribers out there. You guys have been amazing, the support has been incredible thus far, and I really appreciate all your comments, your emails and your messages telling me about how you've benefited from my videos. And of course, if you're new to the channel, alright, welcome to the channel. Okay, my name is Nick Tan, and I do these occasional magic and mostly mentalism reviews. So if you haven't done so already, please do check out my other videos as well. Check out my content, and if you get value out of my videos and if you enjoy the content that I put out here on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. Okay, hit the bell notification button as well, like this video, do all those things because they really help me continue to try and grow this channel on YouTube. So just about a week ago, Bill O'Connell got in touch with me. Okay, he dropped me an email, and together with the email, he also attached a PDF. So he was very kind to send it to me, just to let me have a look at it, to share it with me, and also he asked if I would be, interested to chat about it on this show. So immediately, right, it ticked a couple of boxes for me. First of all, it's mentalism related, so check. And then, it's Q&A related as well, something that I quite enjoy, so check. And then I saw that the PDF also had contributions from people such as Mark Paul, Greg Arce, and Scott Creasy as well. So check, check, check. I was immediately interested to have a look at the PDF. So Q&A, right? The ultimate effect, the ultimate routine in mentalism. So personally for me, I started becoming interested in Q&A sometime just before 2010, I believe, maybe 2007, thereabouts. And back then I was studying the works of people such as Richard Osterlind, Banachek, and John Riggs as well. Okay, anything by John Riggs is great. Also in 2009, I managed to purchase a PDF from Leaping Lizards. Alright, I'm not sure how many of you remember Leaping Lizards, but it was a PDF. It was called Super Simple Q&A. So that PDF was actually the routine that got me started to actually performing Q&A at my shows. So over the years, I have performed Q&A in a number of settings, alright, theatrical settings, in theatre shows that I was doing at the time, ticketed events. And also, I started performing Q&A in my corporate dinner events as well, my regular commercial shows. It was not a piece that I could perform like at every single show, it was quite situational, but I do remember that every time I got to perform it, it played really strongly, and it is a routine that I really enjoy performing, and audiences also seem to react quite well to the routine. From the very beginning, what I loved about Q&A is the image. Okay, the image of just you standing on stage with nothing at all, and then just somehow calling out names into the audience. People stand, and then from there you are able to just tell them what's on their mind, answer their questions, make predictions about the future. That image to me was like the perfect image of a mind reader, right? To me, that was what a real mind reader would do. To me, Q&A methods tend to fall into one of two categories, okay? and I use both depending on the kind of situation. Okay, I do favor one over the other, but there are two main types that I use. One is where the work is done before, okay, and then one where the work is done during. I'm going to try and refrain from using any technical terms, okay, that are like searchable online. But I think if you know what I mean, you know what I mean. Both of these approaches have their pros and cons. I'm not going to list out all of them, okay, because otherwise my review will start to sound a bit like a lecture. Currently, I feel that I'm more drawn towards doing the work before. Alright, at this point in time. Again, for some advantages which I really shouldn't get into here, alright, because this is a publicly accessible platform. Also, one more point, just before we get into the review proper, alright, I do perform Q&A with like two different themes, and this is not new, alright, it's not new. Basically, in a theatrical setting, that is when I will, answer questions, alright, about, people may have about their future and things like that. I think that kind of suits the theater kind of a setting better, alright, because people are more kind of invested in the routine, right? In the whole performance. Whereas when I perform Q&A in a commercial dinner and dance, kind of a setting, I tend to perform an audience reading effect, okay? Pretty much like, Dunninger, Kreskin and Osterlind, where people think of birthdays, names of loved ones, holiday destination they want to go to, just kind of generic personal pieces of information which I can then reveal Q&A style. So the material in those kind of settings is not so heavy, it's more light-hearted, I think. Okay, now this is not to say that I'm performing like weaker material. I would like to think of it as I'm performing appropriately, because in those kinds of situations, in that kind of an environment, for that kind of a show that I do, it really is more about, keeping it, snappy, light-hearted and entertaining. But enough about me, all right? Let's get down to talking about business card Q&A. So let me tell you first of all the effect as the audience perceives it. So you, the performer, you're on stage and you distribute a couple of blank business cards, okay, to a couple of people in the audience, along with some Sharpies, pens or pencils. And you ask everyone who has received a card to write down their name, okay, and a question about their future. Once all the information is filled in, the cards are collected back face down, and you hand the stack to a volunteer in the front row. You then also remove a stack of envelopes to another spectator, and envelopes. I'm going to say envelopes, all right? So you hand a stack of envelopes to another spectator, and then you ask for them to just place one of the cards into one of the envelopes, and then to check and make sure that the envelope is opaque and they cannot see through the envelope. Once they understand what it is they are to do, you then task them to insert the remaining cards into all the envelopes, okay? So each envelope gets one card each, while you continue doing some other routine to, keep the rest of the audience occupied. So after you perform another routine, you check back with the two volunteers to make sure that all the cards are now sealed into envelopes. Once that's done, you take out a glass bowl, you walk over to them, they place the whole stack of envelopes sealed up into the glass bowl, okay? At no point do you touch any of the envelopes. You place the glass bowl of envelopes onto a table on stage, and from there, your Q&A performance begins. So what happens now is you just, hold your hand over the bowl of envelopes, just like that, okay? Again, you don't touch any of the envelopes, okay? That's very important. You don't touch the envelopes, you just hold your hand over the envelopes, and from there, you can immediately call out a name. The person in the audience stands up and, you continue in classic Q&A style, right? You answer their questions, and then, they sit down. From there, you can continue, again, without handling any of the envelopes. You hold your hand over the bowl of envelopes, you call out another name, the person stands, and you continue the whole routine from there. You can answer another 5 or 6 questions, all right, before bringing the routine to a close in whichever way you wish. So just listening to that description of the effect, all right, I think you can agree, okay, that it's really hands-off. And because of that, all right, I think the effect looks really impossible to your audience, okay, because the envelopes are clearly there in the glass bowl on display in full view. You're not touching any of them, and yet somehow you are getting the information. So what do you get when you purchase a business card Q&A? So as I mentioned earlier, it's a PDF, right, and it's available directly from Bill O'Connell himself. I believe it is priced at $20 US. It's about 30 or so pages long. So in the PDF, Bill will take you through a description of the effect, all right, similar to what I've just told you. He will tell you the materials that you will need to perform the routine, okay, so all the stuff that you need to prepare. He will tell you the handling, okay, the actual performance of the routine itself. And then also, as I mentioned, there'll be some contributions, some ideas from Mark Paul, Greg Arce, Scott Creasy, and also Neil Somerville as well. So let's talk a little bit about what I like about business card Q&A. Okay, so first of all, I like it that it is really hands-off. Okay, I mean the effect, the performance of the effect itself, during the performance, it is really hands-off, right? Because you're not seen to be touching or handling any of the envelopes at all. It looks really nice to just hold your hand over the bowl, and from there somehow you receive the information. Also, I like it that this can be performed solo. Okay, so it's a one-man operation. You are just doing it yourself. Okay, so you don't need assistance of any kind. There are no stooges or assistants anywhere. Next, there is no memory work involved. Okay, because in some of the methods that I enjoy to use, there are some bits of memory work here and there to make it look really clean. But this particular handling enables you the clean look that I enjoy. But there's no memory work. Okay, the information is available to you anytime you need it. All right, that's all I can say. There are also no gaffs used, okay, so all the stationery that you use during the routine are all normal, they're not gaffed, okay. The envelopes are just regular envelopes, they are really opaque, you really cannot see through the envelopes. And of course, there's no other methods involved, right? No imp devices or things like that. It doesn't depend on electronics, okay, so there's no connection issues to worry about, nothing to charge, no batteries to worry about, no Wi-Fi, no Bluetooth to worry about, no updates, nothing like that, okay. This is just based on solid, tried and tested mentalism techniques. In fact, this particular approach to the method for Q&A more or less takes care of itself. This method takes care of itself, leaving you the freedom to focus entirely on the performance of the Q&A. So obviously I can't discuss method with you, okay, but I think it is fair to tell you, okay, that Q&A, as I mentioned earlier, there are like mainly two kinds of approaches, okay, to get the work done. Okay, the work is either done before or during. So this particular method is actually done during the performance, which of course brings you certain conveniences, all right? You don't have to prep anything in advance. Now, obviously, there are going to be some disadvantages, negatives, I suppose. These are not like negatives in a really bad sense of the word. It's not as though I don't like these points about the routine, okay? Because these negatives are also present in the methods that I'm currently using when I'm doing the work during the show. So first of all, I think it is fair to say, right, and I think Bill will agree with me, this is not like a new method. It's more of like a handling of the method, okay? Because the concept, if you are familiar with performing Q&A, you will kind of know what needs to get done, okay? And in most of the methods out there, the work is pretty much the same, right? What needs to get done has to get done. It's just how each of the individual mentalists choose to get the work done. I hope that made sense. So one thing I think I should let you know, all right, is that this particular method, it's preferable, okay, if you have a stage with side wings. Now, you're not using like off-stage assistance, okay, because I did tell you that, this is a solo kind of a method, and that is true, okay, but it's preferable if you have wings at the side, okay. It's really difficult to tell you why, okay, but because of the choreography of the method, it's preferable to have that. I suppose you could work out a way to do the routine without it, okay, but well, as described, it's more convenient, I think, to have that kind of a stage with side wings. I'm just going to be mentioning points as they come to my mind, all right? So with this method as well, while it is very convenient and it is done real time, okay, there isn't a way for you to screen the questions. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about this because it's starting to talk a little bit about method, okay, but you are not able to screen the questions, okay, and as such, you are not able to structure your Q&A performance, okay, so that it kind of builds as the routine progresses. Which means, of course, you are really depending on the luck of the draw. Hopefully, you will get kind of good questions, some juicy ones with which you can kind of use to, create a sense of progression through the reveals. You can, I suppose, kind of do that on the fly, all right, but you don't have like a big range to work with, okay, let's put it that way. So you really are still kind of depending on the luck of the draw. And because of that, all right, you run the risk of not having a finale, okay, a closing thing for the routine, something that, tells the audience that the routine is over. So as far as the number of questions go, you can answer like, 5 or 6 questions, okay, depending on how comfortable you are performing the routine. In my own show, I tend to do about 5 questions, all right, with maybe one kind of sensational answer thrown in. Again, if you know what that means, you know what that means, all right? But yeah, I think that's all I can say about business card Q&A. All in all, I think it is a method worth knowing because again, it creates a very clean look when performing the Q&A. Because remember, you're not touching the envelopes at all. They're on display the entire time, but you're not seen to be handling the envelopes at any time. So I think for this particular handling, if you can use it, if you can get it down, you have a Q&A that looks absolutely impossible. Some closing thoughts from me about Q&A. I think as far as methods go, I think most of us place a lot of emphasis on the methods, right? As with many other effects in mentalism, because as magicians, as mentalists, we're always interested in method, right? How do we get information? I think For Q&A particularly, the strength of it comes in the skill of the performer when delivering the information. Okay, so it really is up to you to learn strategies, to really just make something out of nothing at times. And I think that skill is what separates a great Q&A performance from a decent one. Because most mentalists can get the information, all right? In fact, I think all mentalists, all right, will be able to get the information, but only a handful, I think, can actually deliver the information in a really entertaining and engaging way. So while we are still always on the search for the ultimate perfect Q&A method, I think we should also spend, some efforts in learning how to reveal the information, okay? And I'm still learning how to get better at it as well, because I do enjoy Q&A, right? As I mentioned to you, the image of just standing on stage with absolutely nothing and just somehow receiving information from the audience, to me that is the ultimate image of a mind reader. So we've come to the end of today's episode. I do hope you got something out of it. I do realize I can't tell you too much about the method, okay, but I do hope I've given you enough to decide for yourself if business card Q&A is something that you'd like to pick up. I can only recommend it to you, if you are interested in Q&A, all right, you're interested in Q&A methods and techniques, this is something that's worth learning, okay? And it's not like terribly expensive, so I think it is something that you can pick up if you're interested in Q&A. Business card Q&A is available directly from Bill O'Connell, all right? So if you'd like to pick up a copy for yourself, I will leave his email address in the description box down below. So do drop him an email to purchase your copy of Business Card Q&A, all right? Tell him that Nick Tan sent you. I'd like to thank Bill, all right, for sending this PDF to me so that I can have a look at it, learn from it, and chat about it as well with you guys on the show. So till next time, guys, thanks for watching again. Stay safe, take care of yourselves, have fun with your magic and your mentalism, and I will see you on a future episode of Nick Tan Chats.